Consider this, a news and information program recorded on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. From the Fireside Lounge in the Milo Bales Student Center, here is your host, Carol Schrader.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to the University of Nebraska at Omaha. I've been talking to my guest here, Sharon Brodkey. She's with the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce with an exciting story, but let me get you into it.
Okay.
The City of Omaha was looking for a new slogan, a new trademark, and I think it was safe to say, in fact, I've heard some people from the chamber saying we wanted to put a fork in the slogan, rare, well done. It wasn't well accepted. We did have for a long time Buy the Big O, which was more of a commercial
We still have that
kind of thing, and usable. But you were looking for what come last year?
Well, you know, it's kind of a challenge to get everybody on the same page as to who does what in the city. Rare Well Done was an initiative that was started by the Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau several years ago to promote convention and tourism to Omaha. We were using all kinds of different slogans, taglines, logos, things that had been developed over the years for different audiences. And when Sonny Mayers came to Omaha to take over as executive director of the CVB, we started thinking about how we could get together and combine our resources and take advantage of the timing and all of the brain power that we have in Omaha, all of the creativity, to collaborate and come up with something that would be functional to use across all the different organizations who have a need to market Omaha to different constituencies.
Before we finish the story, we shouldn't hold people in suspense.
Okay.
We will show them what you came up with.
Okay.
And it is the O exclamation point.
It is indeed.
And you're wearing one, but just for the folks in Omaha, they generally know that, but for those that are seeing this in Greater Nebraska, look, now you can kind of follow the story.
Okay.
So you were looking for something that was versatile, flexible, and that everybody could use, so because you put out a lot of money to promote the city.
Well,
And in-kind services and things.
different agencies put out a lot of money in various different ways. CVB has their own budget, and they are an
Convention and
entity.
Visitors Bureau.
Right. Sorry. Well,
That's all right.
heretofore, call it CVB, and everybody will know what
Right.
it means. And the chamber is out there trying to promote business to business. The mission of the chamber is growing the economy of Nebraska, increasing jobs and increasing investment. So obviously you're not going to market to the same audiences and you're not going to market the same way. Rare Well Done was actually, in my opinion, it was good. For what it was doing and who it was targeting. But Omahans didn't buy into it. As you know, it created a lot of angst in the community.
It was angst.
It was not a good thing.
Not the kind that other beef can create in recent news, but it did create angst.
It did, yeah.
But so when you decided, or these entities that felt they could benefit from maybe finding something that was a little more versatile and a little more flexible, you did something that's kind of unusual and really opening sort of, you know.
Yeah,
We used to be hire
Pandora's box.
one agency,
Right.
they come up with something or two or three ideas, and it was a little more democratic, I guess
Yeah.
is the way to.
I think the feeling was, first of all, we had done some research, and some had been done on the chamber side, some had been done on the Convention and Visitors Bureau side. Gallup had presented the chamber with a study that they did called the Global Cities or Cities of Choice Survey. And they went out and they surveyed 50 cities of similar size and also with some regional connections and then some that were not regionally tied to Omaha at all. And they asked these people in these towns, what do you like about your city? What are you most proud of? What needs improvement? What are the greatest challenges that you see coming down the pike? And when we looked at the results, that we discovered that there were a few common threads. Omaha is very proud of what we have here. And not many people outside of Omaha know or understand that. And there's also a tremendous amount of excitement and momentum building between Quest Center Omaha opening up, the jobs that have come with the Gallup and the Riverfront campus, all of the downtown and riverfront redevelopment, which is nearing $2 billion now. There's a lot of momentum that we could capitalize on, so the timing was great. And we just wanted something that was going to express that Omahans could embrace and that wouldn't be contentious. Slogans oftentimes can, you know, you're never going to get everybody to agree on one slogan.
Now, the research, you know, for so many years, not as recently, but we had a rather inferiority complex, and we were our own worst enemy sometimes. I mean, the public part of us, not the business
Right.
part that's always promoting, but you know,
Right.
we didn't have, and all of the change that's come and some of the new things, and I think, you know, it being a good place to live and people
yeah.
reading crime statistics elsewhere and whatever, that we finally came to realize this is a neat place. And then you did this most recent research, and it showed a really positive
Oh, yeah.
feeling on the part of Omahans.
I think it's really turned around. And I never really fully bought into the whole inferiority complex theory.
But for
I
years,
know.
when people would ask you where you're from, you were almost- yeah.
I know, you were apologetic. And one of the things that we felt we needed to do was equip Omahans with kind of what we call the elevator speech. If you were going to get into an elevator with somebody and you only had 2 minutes to describe to them, you know, where you're from and what you like about it. Because oftentimes people say, Omaha, what's there? Well, 5 Fortune 500 companies. There are only 17 cities in the country that have that many or more Fortune 500 companies headquartered there. Now I'm giving you the chamber elevator speech as opposed to...
But the point is, you realized in this, the Chamber
Yeah.
and Convention and Visitors Bureau,
Right.
that Omahans need to be brought on board because
You
we
bet.
needed everybody to promote the city.
We needed to energize and enthuse and inform them about what should be in that elevator speech. What are the key messages that, whether you're talking to someone who's a potential conventioneer or tourist, or you're talking to a chief executive officer of a company that may want to relocate or expand their business in Omaha.
You know, just an aside, you never know who is going to be instrumental in bringing a convention to Omaha.
No kidding.
Because there are so many groups. Recently talking to a pretty well-known guy in town who belongs to a kind of a veterans thing, his squadron or something from World War II. And, you know, he's president of this, and he has an effect on where conventions are picked. So, I mean, there are so many people in Omaha that are on national boards and whatnot. You don't have to be a CEO.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And that, I think Sonny's campaign, the one that the Convention and Visitors Bureau is taking on, is very much telling Omahans a story about how you can help, what you can do if you belong to a trade association or any kind of religious organization or any kind of outreach group that has any national affiliations or regional affiliations. Bring those groups to Omaha for your next meetings or conventions. And it's a wonderful, wonderful campaign that they're working on. I think we're going to start seeing the fruits of those labors shortly.
Okay, so we get back to where we're looking for something. We're on the hunt.
Yeah.
And you sort of opened it up for
Not intentionally.
not intentionally. Okay, what happened? I think this is an interesting story,
is
and
an
it really
interesting
does tell a
story.
lot about Omaha.
It does.
And the powers of Omaha.
It
That, you
does.
know, they're not staid enough to not let it roll.
Oh yeah, and people really do want their hands in it. Excuse me, they want some input. So when it started getting out that they were going to be searching for a new agency down the street at CVB, and that they were going to be putting the fork in Rare Well Done, all of a sudden everybody had an opinion, and people started emailing and writing letters, and on a weekly radio show that we do that has a chamber feature segment, they started calling in, and then the other radio stations started calling and saying, hey, we need you to come talk about this, and they started, radio
buzz.
stations started websites that, you know, email in your slogan ideas. We were inundated, Carol. I mean, they were coming from
Too much of a good thing?
way too much of a good thing. Now, everybody got on board and everybody had suggestions, and many of them had the same themes and focus in mind. Things like to do with the heartland, to do with the quality of life here. And those are wonderful things, but they didn't necessarily convey anything specific about Omaha, what's unique about Omaha.
They could be applied to
just
a
about
number of
anything.
other cities, particularly in the heartland.
Right, right. So you start asking yourself, are we really looking for a slogan? Maybe we're looking for something beyond a slogan. Maybe we're looking for an icon or some sort of graphic representation that has a lot of flexibility and that we can get some kind of consensus on, because clearly there wasn't going to be consensus on a slogan.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A local graphic artist called and said, "Could it
Yeah.
be more conceptual and not a slogan, or could we do
Yeah.
some sort of
Yeah.
major graphic kind of thing.
He called and he got in touch with one of the people on the Communications Council, which aside is a wonderful collaboration of many people in the community. And he said, I have an idea that I actually worked on for another purpose, but this could be what you might be interested in. Now, we didn't know it at the time, and he didn't know. He hadn't seen the research that was done by Gallup or that was done by Discover Why when we did some online dialoguing and interactive polling of some of the Omaha residents. He had come up with this on his own, and basically just listening to the radio and listening to what people were saying and playing on the pride and the excitement. So.
And excitement is kind of key there.
Excitement is key, unexpected surprises is key, and community pride. Those three elements were the three common threads that kept emerging in all of the research and all of the anecdotal data, if you can call it data, the conversations that we were having on the radio, through email, the letters that we were receiving.
Okay, so at some point you kind of let the people that have a formal presentation, not just the callers in on the radio, but people that are, have the wherewithal to put together some sort of presentation. There were a number of people or groups.
Yeah, there were a few people who presented some ideas, and this one was it. I mean, there was, to be in a room where you're sitting around a table, a boardroom, and there's an absolute gasp of consensus, and wow, it's not going to get any better than this. And there was a really good feeling about it. The initial feeling was that this is something, Sonny looked at it and he said, I'm thinking of ways right now that we can use this to attract convention and visitors. We're looking at it, we're thinking of ways that we can apply it to our work in business-to-business marketing and communications. And it works for everybody.
It got everybody's creative juices going right away, so that's a good sign.
Definitely, yeah.
In other words, we're stuck with this, okay, well, how can we use it?
Yeah,
All right, so you selected O exclamation point.
We did.
And that really hits you with the, it can be the response of Omahans to Omaha, it can be the response of people to the news about Omaha,
right.
And certainly people are surprised when they find out we have 5 Fortune 500 companies and we have a world-class zoo and the new convention center and this it used to be the SAC Museum,
the Strategic Air and Space Museum.
Thank you very much. I'm a child of the past. I guess,
me too.
It's hard for me. But we have so many things that make a nice visit.
Yes.
To this area
and make a wonderful community to live in.
So when it came time to unveil, or as you were preparing to, something happened on a national scale that sort of
that made us go,
oh. Not in a good way.
Not in a good, well, no, it wasn't a bad way either. In fact, we wish that we could take credit for it. Somebody scooped us. Time Magazine was doing a little feature called, A Nation of Sloganeers. And somebody gave the O exclamation point to an editor or a reporter at Time Magazine about 2 or 3 weeks before we were ready to unveil it. And we had a very well thought out, concerted, strategic, tactical plan ready to go
for
on
the big rollout.
We were really going to come out with a smash, and then all of a sudden this is in Time Magazine, and kind of stopped and went, oh, what do we do now? But that was good because based on the unexpected surprise and the excitement theme that we were playing on, we thought that we can put that into our strategy and make that part of our tactics. So from that point forward, everything that we do regarding the O is going to be unexpectedly rolled out, and that's how we did it locally.
Well, certainly your sort of guerrilla approach, your street, I've always wanted, after visiting New York or something, where there's all those those flyers that are pasted over in multi, rows and rows of the same flyer and lots of graffiti. There's always the bad girl in me that wanted to paste a message or something around. You all got to be kind of teenagers.
We did.
You painted, not you, but you had painted.
I was there, but they wouldn't let me paint, but yes.
They painted the O exclamation point at major intersections.
High traffic areas in town where we thought, we're just going to get a painting crew out there and these O's are just going to pop up. And people aren't necessarily going to know right away until they ask.
But they were surprised.
They were surprised, but we also figured after the Time magazine, I was going to say debacle, but it wasn't really a debacle.
And it wasn't a huge thing. I mean,
No.
unless you
No, it wasn't.
really read the story or...
Right, you wouldn't have known. But we decided that we were going to, at that point, engage the media in the surprise. So we visited all of the television and radio stations and all of the print media in the Omaha area, and we said, this is what we're going to do, and we would love for you to be a part of it, and you can help us tell the story when these O's start popping up all over the place.
Now, what I think is interesting is having worked in newsrooms and with news directors, when chambers of commerce and such would make pitches for a big splash, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, it was like, okay, this is nice, we'll be a good corporate citizen, but we're, you know, but I bet the reaction from these people was surprising themselves.
They
and
loved it.
Loved it.
They loved it. In fact, I didn't
It's
even have
visual
to
for
bribe them
TV.
with the O shirts or anything. I mean, it was a very visual rollout. One of the challenges is going to be, how are we going to make this work on radio, or how are we going to make it work in non-visual media? But they really embraced it. They got right on board. Every station was out with us, following us with the cameras. A couple hung out with us all day, just as we went from location to location. And one of the really fun things was watching people's faces and their inquiries. What is that? What are you guys doing?
And what'd you
know?
tell them?
We said, or they would come up and they would go, oh, you know. Okay. We told them that this is the new promotional campaign for Omaha, and that this is just the beginning, and to keep their eyes and their ears open, because they're going to be seeing a lot more of the O exclamation point. It's going to become a lot more interactive, and it's going to be, you know, gradually built upon. So we're kind of building the excitement.
Okay, you have a website that we've probably been popping up here on the screen. It's www.ososurprising.com, and that's part of the interactive. Now, as I understand it, you put nickels out around the city that
Yes.
had, well, of course, the face of the nickel on one side, and
Right.
O and the website. And just, again, sort of,
We just started dropping them randomly in high traffic locations, malls, grocery stores, movie theaters, Quest Center events, and people started logging onto the website. And when they do so, they can play an Omaha trivia game. And whether they answer all the questions correctly or not, they're automatically entered into a contest to win tickets and gift certificates and things that will get them out enjoying some of Omaha's surprises and sights and attractions.
and maybe things they've never been to, even though they've lived here. And you know, that
Right.
happens.
Oh, yes.
We say we're always going to do that or whatever, and
we
don't.
take it for granted.
Yeah, we do take it for granted.
Yeah.
So, and if you, they're nice prizes.
They are.
You know.
They are. We've got tickets to 10 parties at the College World Series, UNO Maverick Hockey, Creighton Blue Jay games, restaurants, shopping, everything that will get people out and familiarize them with what we call Omaha's assets, but the fun and interesting things to do. I think almost all the museums are on board. We've had organizations and people call us up and say, what can we contribute? How can we get involved?
Okay, now that's a sign that people are embracing the O, and I think, and that's one of the things you want to do.
Yeah.
What are the ways that people are responding other than, oh,
They,
I mean,
yeah, the business community and the nonprofit community, and I mean, people who I never would have anticipated got involved in this. We had a call from the Omaha Public Libraries, and the big 40-foot vertical banners that are on the library on the east and west side downtown, they're going to replace those, and they're going to incorporate the O. We had letters from Boy Scout troops who visit Shizuoka, Omaha's sister city in Japan, and they wanted the artwork so they can incorporate the O exclamation point into the badges that the boys wear and
that
exchange.
they give, yes, that's quite a quite a deal.
We had the Vinton Street Merchants Association call us up and ask us for the artwork. When the weather improves, I don't know if they'll paint streets or sidewalks or if they'll put street pole banners up or something, but a lot of other businesses are just kind of using it as a bug in, you know, the right or left-hand corner of an ad, a print ad, or on a website, or however they want. And they're getting on board, they're incorporating the O into their own promotional or marketing campaigns, and it's really getting out there. It's a guerrilla and viral marketing type of approach.
Viral marketing.
I love that word. I know a lot of people don't, but I love viral
Spreads
marketing.
like SARS, but
Yeah.
But I mean, in a good way.
yeah.
And the
Right.
more that it touches, then again, it's exponential. So everybody, this is the first time, and I've lived here all my life, and I think you have lived here most of your life.
After I graduated from high school, I ran away for more than a decade, but I
growing
always
up,
kept coming home.
But the point is that I've never really felt that, and maybe I'm just fantasizing because I want good things to happen here, but I've never felt so immediately affected by something in a good way, where I didn't go, I don't know if that fits.
Yeah.
I mean, I think by the big O for what it was says what it is.
That's a highly targeted business campaign.
Right, but I mean, this was one that, I mean, I could wear,
Right.
I could, if I wanted to. And is there going to be more O stuff?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more O stuff
So we
to
could
come.
send something to our relatives. You know, my relatives have enough Nebraska football shirts, okay, and T-shirts.
It's mandatory.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
you know, if they move away, they
Right.
get one, you know, one every so often so that they stay current.
Right.
But I would think that would be a fun thing.
We do have, there is a website that's going up very shortly, hopefully within the next couple weeks, that does have O merchandise on it that's available not only for retail if you want to buy a shirt and send it to a relative, it's also available for corporate and wholesale type of use. So if a local company wants to incorporate their logo with the O, they can order in bulk and do it at, you know, discounted rates. And there are all kinds of chamber members have come to us with all kinds of creative ideas as far as merchandising, and there has been an overwhelming demand for
now,
merchandise.
you have to take the bad with the good sometimes.
Yes, I know where this is going.
I know. There was a billboard, between two billboards that you put up, I mean, not in immediate proximity, but blocks away from each other, of a fella that runs, I guess we would say, a naughty bookstore.
Okay.
Okay. And he incorporated the O. And there was some angst about that. But I learned a long time ago in public relations and marketing, sometimes if you just don't pay too much attention, those things go away. And also, any pub, short of criminal behavior and things like that, is good pub, as in publicity. So at least it got people talking again. After you sort of rolled it out.
It did.
Okay, I mean, you're not going to make any editorial comment one way or the other, but and the Omaha Press Club show for this spring is Oh My God, GAWD.
Yes.
But they'll get some more mileage, not in the same way as the billboard, but but you have to take the good with the bad.
Yes, you do. And, you know, we knew that there were some risks involved.
In being so generous with its use.
Yes. But I think that people understand what it is that we are trying to achieve. And
obviously that was a publicity stunt and kind of pushing the envelope.
The sincerest form of flattery.
For the fellow that owns the bookstore or the store.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it showed that it works on a billboard. People will look at it.
Yeah.
And I think there just is something about seeing an O and an exclamation point that if done right on your, whether it's your company, or it draws your attention. Now, there'll be more stuff. We'll see it more in companies' things, and you're really positive about that. But we have a lot of cities and towns in Nebraska. Not all of them would want slogans or icons or trademarks because they're not big enough. They don't do a lot of, but sometimes for personal esteem of a town. If they ever did this from what you've lived through, it is risky to open it up as much as it accidentally was. But on the other hand, all things that are kind of accepted have risk.
They do. I think that one of the things that has made this so successful, apart from the fact that it was the right idea at the right time, was that it was a collaborative effort. And just as Omaha has gained a lot of national attention in the last few years for our successful public-private partnerships, I think other towns can draw learnings from that too. And it's when you bring different entities together and you know what your differences are, but you accept those and what maybe who your different audiences are, and you work together to try and find some common ground. And you know, Carol, I really sincerely believe no town anywhere, whether you're urban, you're rural, should have an inferiority complex. We all have assets, and we have to look for the assets. And we have to work on, you know, improving the things, the challenges that we have, and improving upon the areas that need improvement. But let's really come around, circle the wagons around what we have to offer, and take it from there.
You know, and the fact that it did end up collaborative and people didn't feel threatened by other people being involved. I mean, that's just a lesson for life and building anything in a city, even if image or otherwise.
It was really, I feel very privileged to have been involved in this project and to have been at the Chamber at a time when, first of all, we had an advantage. The chairman of our board, Linda Lovegren, is a marketing whiz.
Yeah.
And, you know, she had several initiatives that she was going to pursue and accomplish during her time as chairman. And this was one of them. And she was able to get all these folks, for the first time ever, for a campaign like this, to sit around the table and say, we're going to combine our resources, we're going to combine our brain power, and we are going to make something happen because this is the time. Omaha wants it, and we deserve it.
Short of the Big Apple, I can't think of anything that is more usable and versatile, and that people immediately reacted positively to. And it grows on you, even if you like it in the beginning. It kind of grows.
It does.
You get ideas. So we have a new thing.
A new thing.
And it's not a slogan. It's not maybe a logo. You came up with a new word.
I didn't. I can't take credit for that
slogo.
word. It's a slogan. It's
And
not
of course
a slogan.
it
It's not a logo. It's a slogan.
And it would have an exclamation point after that.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So people can look forward to seeing things, sending out T-shirts and things to their relatives.
There's going to be a next generation of the website that's going to be a lot more involved. There are going to be more opportunities, and I think more famous Omaha faces that you may see associating themselves with the O. It's all part of the surprises yet to come.
And the other thing is that the country continues to be surprised about how much we have done in our downtown when other cities have been trying to do it for years. Sharon, I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
www.ohsosurprising.com.
Thank you.
This has been a good experience, and I just am happy to tell the story because I have a little pride.
We're happy
in this
for the
crazy little
opportunity.
town myself.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on Consider This. Be oh so surprised. Check out the website or check out our website, which you'll see in just a moment. We'll see you back here next week.
Great.
To view this edition of Consider This or past programs, visit our website at unotv.unomaha.edu. For comments or questions, call 402-554-2516 during regular business hours. Consider This is a production of UNO Television.